Well, hello there, guys and gals. Welcome to another product review. Amazon item of the day. Recently, I discovered the Razer Bone, also known as the Razer Fin. They just have different colors. And it's really marketed as a boning and fillet knife. And it's kind of redundant if you think about it. Just they're marketing to two segments. They're marketing to hunters that are deboning meat from venison and things like that, or elk or whatever. And then they're marketing to fishermen. So they kind of have different color frames and they call them different things, but they're exactly the same knife. This is a great tool, and like I said, I reviewed this recently. And while I was reviewing this, I came across this. It's like its little brother. Essentially, these knives, other than size, are identical. If you look at them, other than, I guess, there's no lanyard hole on the bone/fin knife, where they gave you a little lanyard hole there, which I don't know that I would ever use, but it is there. They both have a clip. They both have molded scales that feel really great on the hands, etc. But this is just a lot more practical to carry around in your pocket on a daily basis, and that's why it's marketed as an EDC knife. Just like all the other Outdoor Edge products, it uses a blade that's removable. And let's switch the camera angle a little bit here, a little bit more. All right, so simply by depressing this button right here, you can pull this blade out. This smaller knife will take the blades from the longer knife, so you can actually use it just like you can with the Outdoor Blaze knife. You can use the longer boning or fillet blades with it. Obviously, if you put this blade in this frame, it will not close. They give you a little box. I have it around here somewhere. I think it's right here. If you're going in between blades to store your blades in, it's probably a good thing. Keeps you from getting cut. Keeps it from like cutting a hole in the bag that you inserted it in to keep it for later or whatever. Not really very convenient in my opinion, but it does work effectively enough in the limited amount of times you might go between different blades. Because I think pretty much you're going to pick a frame and stick with the blade for it. But the reason I bring that up, it's very conceivable that you could make this kind of your EDC utility knife. Now, again, I'm a guy, I carry really high-end, custom-made knife with me just about everywhere I go. I'm not cheap on knives. That's not why I'm sitting here showing you a $30 knife. I'm big on utility and the right tool for the right job. I don't want to take that knife I just showed you and start cutting a bunch of boxes up with it or tape off of boxes and get gummy crap all over it. And, I take pride in keeping that knife sharp, but it's also, it's a little bit of work to get a knife like that sharp. These are made with this J2 steel. This is the same steel if you go get surgery and a surgeon cuts you open, they use this steel to make a scalpel. It is incredibly easy to get this steel absolutely razor sharp. I mean, scary sharp. Touch your finger with it. It cuts you that kind of sharp. And it's very easy to actually keep it sharp for a time. It doesn't have longevity as a knife steel. And that's not what it's designed to do. This is basically designed, this becomes a replacement for like a utility knife, except you have a full-size handle and a full-size blade where you can actually function. You've got scalloping here at the where your finger is. It does have a one-hand open feature. It is not one of these like, things you're going to spring open or anything like that. It's more of a utility knife again. So if you're working on something, you pull it out, you can open it. I would not close it one-handed. If you get your fingers under that blade, it is going to cut right down to the bone. It is, again, razor sharp. The blades come in these little packages. This is one of the 7-inch blades here. They're vacuum sealed, and they have a piece of plastic on them that's right there that keeps that knife from poking through or cutting through that vacuum seal. They have a little pre-tear right here. Boom, that's how that opens. And then I recommend that you, wherever you're storing your blade, store that little piece of rubber that's on that blade. And that way when you dispose of that blade, when you're finally done with it, you can put that back on it, throw some tape on it, and dispose of it where it's not going to go through the garbage and stab somebody or something like that. Or the other option is if you get, this is what I do with most of my razor blades and things like that, you get a big pill bottle, something like a supplement bottle, like a vitamin bottle or something that's big enough for the blades to fit in it. And when it's empty, keep it in a drawer. And whenever you're swapping blades, throw your old blades in there. When it's full, throw it away. By then, you probably have another bottle to use. That's the safest way. That's what I do, and that's what I really recommend you do. But one way or another, when you're disposing of these blades, because it's dull, it's still sharp, especially in certain spots, and just be careful with disposal. I personally love this knife. I've been carrying it now for a little over a week. When I did the review for the larger knife, and I bought that for my upcoming fishing trip, I saw this, and I put it in my mind like, I'll get one of those one day and I'll review it. And I mentioned that in my review. I had 4 different people from my audience reach out to me and say, just get it. One guy's been carrying it for 2 years. I didn't even know it was around that long. And he said he loves it. He won't carry anything else. And he's a guy, he's not even like me. Like, I will use a sharpening steel with this knife. And I'll do that because literally as it starts to get a little bit dull, if you don't take it to where it's completely dull, you can take a sharpening steel about that much, and it will shave not just the hair off your arm, it'll shave like your hairs if you hold it above your arm and drag it across your hairs. That's how damn sharp these knives are. You can do that. Again, the steel's not made for longevity. You can do that 10, 12, 15 times, and somewhere around there, I start looking at it, I start seeing little flecks in the steel and stuff like that, and boom, new blade. And that means that you get a lot of longevity out of 6 blades. It's like 60 razor blades, think about it, in a razor knife. On that, long-term listeners to my podcast know that I have been recommending the Gerber EAB and EAB lights, which are a little compact. They use a standard razor knife blade. It goes in with a screwdriver, it gets dull, you flip it around, it gets dull again, you throw it away. They're about the size of a money clip. And I've loved them for EDC. I've been recommending them. I don't know exactly when, but I know farthest back I could find recently was 2012. Before I even did product reviews and TspAz and all this, I've recommended that knife. I am retiring that as my recommendation for an EDC utility knife. I believe that everybody should carry at least 2 blades on them. I believe that one of your blades is going to be a good knife. Now, it may not be a Patrick Rorman custom, but you're talking about a good, solid, either liner lock, fixed blade, something that you can really, really rely on. And you should carry, 2 is 1, 1 is none, a second knife. And that second knife should be a utility knife, something that you know will be sharp, that will always be really, really sharp. Maybe it's not a hard working knife, but it's always going to be sharp. I've recommended the EAB for that for years. I have given away literally hundreds of them. I've bought them by the case, and I've handed them out to spread preparedness. I would carry them around, and if somebody needed a knife, I'd hand it to them, and they'd use it. This thing's great. And I would be like, you know what? If you promise that you'll carry that, and you're not having to ask people for knives anymore, you can keep it. And I show them how it works and how to change the blade on it and all, and I've done that for years. And I mean, literally, I've been through cases of them, actual distributor cases of them. That's how much I like that knife. I'm retiring that knife as my primary recommended EDC utility knife now. It's still good. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not going to throw the ones away I have. But you don't want to walk around like Batman with 300 different things in your pockets and on your belt. You only have room for so much. Now that I have this, I'm not carrying that anymore. And that's something, again, I've recommended since 2012. It's at least 7 years I've recommended that knife. When you get this in your hand, your entire opinion about it will change. I know some of you are out there right now thinking, why in the hell do I need a knife with a disposable blade? Don't we have enough throwaway stuff in our culture? Try it. This is not gonna end life of the polar bears on planet Zunu or something like that because you're throwing away a blade once every 2 months. And if you're using it for what it's intended for, and you have a sharpening steel, it's probably once a month, once every 2 months in most daily usage that you'll be replacing that blade. And you will always have a scalpel in your pocket. And if you keep some extra blades around, if you get to a point where you just don't have time to dick with it, and your knife is dull, and you need a sharp knife, it's 10 seconds, swap it out. The way this thing carries, you forget you're carrying it. It's incredibly lightweight, but it's very well built for what it is. Again, this is not like a CRKT, Kit Carson designed or folder or something like that. That's not what it's supposed to be. It's a $30 knife, but it is a $30 knife that I think makes a lot of sense as an EDC tool. Give it a shot. Check it out. There's a link to where you can learn more about it, see my write-up, buy it, the different color options, all that stuff is available in the video notes below. And again, I appreciate you taking a look at this video, and please consider this. And I would also say, consider this as a gift. This is an outstanding gift. Knives, like the fin, the razor bone, the razor blade, Outdoor Edge made a knife for a specific group of people. This is marketed to hunters and fishermen. The Outdoor Blaze is marketed to hunters. That's what it's marketed as. It's a tool to skin a deer. This is a tool to debone a deer or to fillet a fish. So it's marketed to a very specific segment, and it really, I think it's a bit big for an EDC knife. You could carry this if you wanted to. I just think it's big, it's bulky, it doesn't make a great EDC knife, the blades cost more, etc. It doesn't have one-hand opening. That's the other difference in the frames. Like, even though the frame is really the same, it doesn't have an opening stud. Maybe they're a little worried with that long-ass blade, you'll cut the palm of your hand. I don't know. But they're made for a demographic. This is a knife for everyone. I mean, that's how I really feel. This is the knife. I would say, I'll put it this way. Much like the router I recommend, it's not the best knife for everybody. This is probably the best EDC utility knife for the most people. That's a high recommendation for me, guys. There's a reason. Take care.